Hello everyone. I hope we're all doing well. It's good to be here. Thank you, Tina, for having me on this platform. I appreciate it. We'll be talking about girl-child education emergency in the northern Nigeria. Why it is important for the girl child in the northern part of the country to be educated. This has become an emergency, especially when you compare the output between the north and the southern parts of Nigeria. I'm a population researcher, so I like to show data whenever I'm talking about things relating or pertaining to people so that we can see that these things are not just words, these are realities. So, speaking of women with no education in Nigeria, when you look at statistics, and now I'll be quoting data from the Nigeria Demographic and Health Survey that was just conducted in 2018 by National Population Commission. This result was released last year. In North Central, we have just about 32% of women with no education. And in the Northeast, we have 59% of women with no education. Northwest, we have 64%. These are way above average. And then it becomes very serious when you compare this data with those in the South. From the Southeast, the proportion of women with no education is only 4%. Southwest, we have 8%, and South-South, we have just 5%. And then, when you look at statistics on women who are literate, that is, women who can read and write, you have about 32% of women in the Northeast are literate. Then 29% from the Northwest are literate. Then North Central, we have 50%. So you have like less than half of the women in the northern region are not literate, or so to say, illiterate. Then in comparison with the South, from the Southeast, we have 79% of women who are literate. In the Southwest, we have 81%, and in the South-South, we have 79%. Now, what are the effects this low education is having on the women? One, when you talk about the socioeconomic status or the wealth quintile, what the woman can do economically. Once you have a low level of education, it limits your ability to compete with the male counterparts in the job market. It lowers what you can offer employers. Nobody wants someone that cannot reason at the level of the goals of the company. Once you don't have education up to secondary and even higher, it limits your IQ, it limits your emotional intelligence, it limits your intelligence quotient, it limits your reasoning ability, and it stops what you can do when it comes to working, making money, doing things, contributing productively to the economy. It limits that. And if you watch, most people that are doing low skilled jobs, they are mainly people with low education. You have people with higher education. In fact, now even the first degree most times now is even not as competitive in the workplace anymore, because people now are going for masters and PhDs. So you find out that the more educated you are, the more exposed to information you are, and the more relevant you will be in the workplace, the more relevant you'll be to employers of labor. Now that is in the economic side. Then what else does high or low education do to us? It leads to high fertility. High fertility. Most times when ladies or women are not educated, what do they do next? They get married. they start giving birth. And this has complications. Nigeria is one of the countries with one of the highest fertility rates. An average woman in Nigeria gives birth to about 5 children. And when you also compare subnational data, you also see that in the northern part of the country, we have higher fertility rates than those from the southern part. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. Fertility rate in the northeast, you have about 6 children per woman. Then in the northwest, you have like 7 children per woman. That's a woman giving birth to up to 6 children within her reproductive years. And then in the southern part, you have an average of 4 children. What does this do to the body of the woman or even the child? High fertility leads to complications in birth. And these complications sometimes lead to child mortality and maternal mortality. Most times you lose the mother and even the child because of high fertility. And of course, this has its ripple effects. Data shows that low educated women have the tendency to have more children because when you are not educated, it limits your exposure, it limits your access to information. From statistics, we have people without education or women without education giving birth to 6 to 7 children, while those with higher education have like 3 to 4 children because they have more information on how to manage their reproductive health, how to plan their families, the number of children they think they can effectively take care of given their salaries and economic status. But those without education are limited to this kind of information, so they just give birth. And at the end of the day, these children end up becoming a liability to the families and even to the societies. I talked about complications that are associated with high fertility. Nigeria has Nigeria has the second highest under 5 mortality rate in the world. Second highest. As it is now, an average of one child amongst 8 children born in Nigeria die before their 5th birthday. And even when you check this mortality rate subnationally, for instance, Kebbi State in the northwest, you have about 252 deaths out of every 1,000 live births in Kebbi. Whereas in the southern part, using Ogun State for instance, you have only 30 deaths out of every 1,000 live births born there. In the northern part of the country, you have higher mortality rates. Like in the northwest, you have about 187 under 5 mortality rate. Northeast, you have 134. Northwest, you have 94 deaths. And then when you compare this to the southern part, in the south, you have about 73 deaths. Southeast, you have 75. And southwest, you have 62. And then when you juxtapose this with the level of education of the mother, you find out that those without education experience higher deaths of their children. Women with no education experience about 170 deaths per 1,000 live births. That is children below 5 years. While those with higher education, they experience less deaths, like 56 deaths, which are of course as a result of other factors. When you hear these figures, they sound like just numbers. They might sound like just numbers to you, but don't forget, these numbers are human beings. These numbers are human lives that could have been saved if proper measures were put in place. Another thing low education does to the woman is that it reduces your level of empowerment. When you're not educated, it is difficult for you to be able to take decisions pertaining to your health, pertaining to your economic status, pertaining to your social well-being. When you're not educated, you cannot contribute effectively in the society. People will talk down on you. People will look down on you. Even in the home front, you won't be able to take decisions that you feel are good for you, because nobody will think you have that reasoning ability or you have that power to effectively do what you want to do. That is why this is serious, and I'm saying it with all seriousness because I work with this data every day, and I see what this does to our women, and I really hope that we can change this narrative. Young people in the northern part of the country, northern part of Nigeria, my young ladies, we can change this narrative. We shouldn't continue how others did it, how our mothers did it. No, at least we see how they end up. When you look at someone's pedigree, then you will know how you want to change your own narrative. Also, when you look at some of the other things low education can also do, early marriage, because once you're not educated, the next thing is to get married, just like I said before, and you have higher proportion of women in the northern part of the country getting married early. In the northern part, the average age or median age at marriage, first marriage, is 16 years. And this is the year, or this is the age which the child should be in secondary school and even to university. While in the southern part, you have the average age of first marriage to be 22, 23, and 24 and higher, because most of them are in school. So marriage will come later after education, and this is the normal step you should take. Also, just like I stressed earlier, and I keep stressing it because this has to do with health, poor education leads to poor health-seeking behavior. Even when you have children, when you don't have relevant education, it also affects how you take care of these children. Now, you might say, I don't have the money to fund my education. You might say, I'm working. I can't combine education and work at the same time. No, you can. There are times for sacrifices. Most times, one thing I've learned in life is that time waits for no one. Sometimes I put up doing some things and I find out that I still come back, or the year goes by and I find out that I did not achieve that thing that I could have achieved if I had put my mind to it. I'm just trying to encourage you, even if you have a work, even if you are hawking, you are farming, you can be putting out little things to support yourself in school. If you're planning to stop your education after your WAEC or after your junior WAEC or senior WAEC, don't, please. I'm begging you. Continue. You will be glad you did in the future. Most times in Nigeria, we feel it's either I am schooling or I'm working. We don't really have that. The mindset is not universal in Nigeria to combine education and work, especially when you are from a middle class family. But these are things people in the West, they do effectively. You have people that are doing two jobs and at the same time they are schooling, because this is a time to make sacrifices. This is the time to plant seeds which will be reaped in future. I just want to encourage you, looking at these statistics, looking at what is on ground, you can change the narrative for yourself. You can change or determine what you want your outcome to be. It shouldn't be the same thing. We shouldn't don't let what the society has put, or the limitation the society has put on women in the northern part, to stop you from aiming higher. Don't let your dreams be cut short. No. Educate yourself. Have dreams. Aspire to be better than you are and better than the current women are. There is nothing limiting you. There is nothing limiting you. Every limitation can be turned into a stepping stone. And I pray that God will give you the courage, the wisdom, the grace, and of course the resources to pursue your education, and not let anything stop you till you become that best that you can be. Thank you. God bless you.